Here, wait, say that one more time.
Your
I just
father.
I just started it. Okay, go ahead. Tell me what you're just saying.
All right, what do you want to know now?
So what you were just saying about the English.
It's the same thing like he said. He went to school and he didn't like it because nobody was speaking Italian. Your grandfather.
Augie. Yeah.
It's the same thing, but then he got used to it.
Did
And I can't believe he did that. Now his brother Charlie, I mean, he was in school. He probably picked up some English, but he says he didn't like it because everybody was speaking Italian and not everybody was speaking English.
Why did Pop-Up, this is one thing I never understood. So Pop-Up grew up speaking Italian only in the home.
He spoke some English because the father had to at least do English because he had a store.
Right.
I'll never forget when I first met him. I mean,
Pop-Up.
I walk into the store and the salami's hanging and the provolone's hanging, all the things are hanging. And I'm saying, oh my gosh. And she said she would never want to. But she was. The kitchen was in the back of the store. And then there was a living room in the back of the store. And then upstairs were the bedrooms and the bathroom. Then he made a bathroom downstairs. So my father. He didn't, in other words, when she was that sick that time, I had Michael and I had Mary Ann, and they called me up that my mother-in-law was sick. And I had to go down to Haverstraw, and the doctor, I had to call the doctor. I says, why are you hanging clothes if you're sick? She was hanging clothes. So,
Also hardworking.
Huh?
Also hardworking, would you say?
They were hardworking. And the doctor says, you got to take her to the hospital. I think she's got peritonitis. He just looked at her, touched her a little bit. So I had to go home. The two kids, I think your father was in school. Get back. Aunt Tina's sister, Mary, she was home. So she came and she stayed. We lived on Washburn Lane in the apartment. She stayed there and I picked her up. He didn't even want to come. I mean, in other words, my father-in-law never gave. I mean, he was very nice and everything, but he was very rigid, let's put it that way. When we had Sunday dinners, he never closed the store. And then she used to yell at him. He put the boxes so they couldn't see us eating. You know, in the kitchen, at the kitchen table. I mean, in the whatever. We were in the dining room. We were in the dining room, living room together. But he never gave. I mean, you think if she's sick, you'd go with me to the hospital. Yeah. I mean, so they did. So the nurse put her in bed and all this, and this was like about 8:30. I said to her, I gotta go home. I gotta sit her because your grandfather was going to Fairleigh Dickinson 2 nights a week. He never got home before 12. So I said to the nurse, she doesn't speak that much English. Is there anything I should do for her before I leave? No, she's fine. She's fine. All right. So I got home. 12 o'clock, he walks in the door. They called him up. Get over here. You got to sign the papers. He didn't even call the husband. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they had a phone. So he had to go to the hospital to sign the papers so they can do the surgery.
Mm. Okay.
And the worst part was, I had to go there every day. I had Mary. I think every day I had to go and change the thing, and she was supposed to be soaking in the tub. Did I tell you about that story?
No.
So the bathroom was upstairs with the tub. The bathroom with the tub. So we filled it up, and she sat in the tub. And then I couldn't get her out. She couldn't get out because she was very stocky and short. So I called my father-in-law. I said, I can't get her out of this tub. So he came. He tried to pull her out. We couldn't get her out. And I didn't know I was pregnant with Lisa. And I'm trying to pull her out. So finally I said, get rid of the water. In other words, stand up. So I had to go every day to change the thing. So I said to her, I'm just going to sponge. I'm not going to give you the tub. I just said it was an ordeal. She was getting upset about it, and I was getting upset. And then I think I had Mary. Everybody was, and he wouldn't come upstairs. I mean, I don't know. He was very rigid. That's all I can say. But he was very nice. I mean, he did everything, But he was so dedicated to that store. But then later on, he didn't have all those things anymore. He wasn't selling. He was selling mostly candy, and I mean, it wasn't that it was a big business. I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah. And who are his customers? Were his customers just locals?
Yeah, and they used to charge, and then sometimes they would give him something. It's just like Uncle Augie said that his father had a store down further on the other side of Broadway. He says my father used to charge. He says they would come and bring us vegetables and fruit to offset the payment. He's a very good writer. But
so the customers would come and give him. They wouldn't have the money to pay, so they would do like a tab.
I don't know about my father-in-law, but his uncle Mike had a store, and he used to do that. They used to come. What could he do?
Yeah. Tell me about when you met Pop Pop.
When I met him?
Yeah.
I was teaching in Haverstraw, and this teacher that she was a.
Actually, I'm gonna stop because we didn't go over how you got into teaching. So let's finish with and then we'll go to Pop Up. So tell me a little bit more about Lady Cliff.
All right, I went to Lady Cliff.
Yeah.
In order to get, I went in January, and I had to take the test to go, and they said I had to have biology and trigonometry, the math. So I went to a tutor and some lady from the high school. So the teacher that taught biology in the high school, Mr. Peck, taught me during the summer. And I was surrounded by nuns because they used to all go to school in the summertime. So we had the biology. So he said to me one day, he says, we're going to take a trip to Lutterly's with their vitamins. He says, could you drive? Oh, so I drove all the nuns, whatever I had. You thought, it was so funny. In the cafeteria, they had all the vitamins in these little things, and you just pull them out. They went crazy, these nuns. They took every vitamin. I mean, you think it was like gold that they were taking it, I was so shocked. But then we had lunch there, and then I passed the course. And so I graduated in 1953. And then I went to Syracuse University. I took a course in Syracuse University for a summer. And I was near my aunt's house. I used to go to her house on weekends. And because I lived in the dorm. And the course was about kindergarten, because I got a job for kindergarten in September. And the teacher, it really wasn't a realistic picture of kids' first day of school or kindergarten, because these kids already were in kindergarten and they were professors' children, so they had to have a kindergarten there. But the thing that I learned there was, she said to me, you see that sink? I said, yeah. Make sure it's filled with water. There's one boy in that class, he would run around, she'd go put his hands in the water, and he'd calm right down. No, they didn't have to take any of that drug. What did they take?
Ritalin or something like that. Yeah.
Wonderful. It was like, and so I worked in Haverstraw. So
this class gave you better experience?
Yeah, because it was a whole, actually it gave me experience of being a kindergarten teacher, because it was a kindergarten program. But actually, my first day of school, I had screaming kids. I mean, I had 35 kids. We had one huge room, must have been a music room at one time, and they put a partition this high. You can look over. She was on this side, I was on that side. She had the piano on her side. And then you walk into another room where there's benches, and there's a bathroom there. So everything had to be very strict. When she was teaching, I had to be out of the room or on the playground. When I was teaching, she was out of the room. So the first year I had a child, we call him a mongoloid child, but now it's a Down syndrome child, right? With 35 kids. He would run around. And luckily it was an old school, the old wooden doors, because he tried to escape from me one time with the worst part was when we went on the playground, he went all the way to the top of the slide. I had to go up. I used to wear high heels and get him down, and it was a real experience. But the parents were very, they were all, the mothers never worked. I mean, they didn't work, so they pick up the kids, and they very nice people. Made a lot of friends there. They gave me a bridal shower. I was so shocked. She says, the teacher, this girl's mother said, "Oh, well, we're going to have a pizza party down my basement. Would you like to come?" So I went down in there, whatever. And I lived on Broadway over the Army Navy store, and I had a roommate from Hound Falls. She taught second grade in Tompkins Cove. I taught the kindergarten. She was one of these, I don't know how to say it. I said to her, "Claire, why are all those papers under your bed?" She used to bring the work home instead of correct it. She used to put it under the bed. I said, how do you know if they're going to I mean, I had kindergarten. I know what. And then we had she had 70 and I had 70.
Wow.
And the kindergarten graduation, we used to practice in the auditorium, but we only had the 3 levels. Well,
Like the bleachers, you mean, like for them to stand on?
Day of the graduation, they were all like this. The kids didn't want to go up there. So I had to go, bring them up to the top. And they were frightened. They were really frightened because they'd never been on the top. I told the custodian, "Can you put in more of those bleacher things on?" And there was 140 kids.
Wow. Tell me any other stories from like your early days of teaching. Were you like, do you remember like, first of all, why did you choose teaching as a profession? And what was the biggest surprise to you once you started teaching?
I don't know. I think everybody was talking about it, and I went to Ladycliffe from this Dr. Foreman. He says, because my father said, "I want my daughter to go back after trapping. I want her to go back." He says, "You got a college right in town. Let her go to Ladycliffe." And he taught there at night. I had a class with him, 4:30, social studies or something. That's how he says, "Might as well," because I think Ladycliffe was teaching.
So by default, or wasn't, what, I guess, why did you choose that and not accounting? Or like, why did you choose that and not, something else?
Maybe I like kids. I don't remember really. I liked it. Then I told you about that kid with the TV, throwing the TV.
Tell me about it again on the recording.
He was so excited. He comes in because we have a quiet time. She's out of the room, so he says, I have to tell you. I says, "All right, can you?" So we sat the kids down, and he says, "My father and mother had a bad fight. Miss Maldair, my name is Maldair. Miss Maldair, we had a bad fight. They had a bad fight. Now my father threw the TV out the window. I felt like asking, I hope nobody was down, because they were on a 3rd floor apartment in Habersville. There's all sidewalks there. I mean, but the Down syndrome was the one that gave me a lot of problems. He was not toilet trained. He had diapers and rubber pants, whatever. So when we have to have quiet time, we have to go in this room where the benches are, where the bathrooms, and they have to take this, which is ridiculous. They just could go to the bathroom, but they can't do that because we were on such a strict schedule. So I'm sitting there with them, and all of a sudden, a kid comes out of the bathroom, boy, and he says, "Bruce took his clothes off." This is the kid. So I went in there, and I saw the rubber pants and the diapers. Oh, gee, whatever. So I'm putting them back on. All of a sudden, some kid was screaming from the bench. What happened? He fell off the bench and he got a bloody nose. So I tried to get a towel, put it on the thing, and I said, "Go to the nurse." And meanwhile, I had hidden dress, and I told the principal, I says, "He's not even trained. I mean," and then he was running around. He would do this and then tear it up and run around the room. And lucky, the doors were heavy. He couldn't open the door to outside because we were on a street there. And the playground was the worst. I had to hold his hand sometimes because it was ridiculous.
Was it?
And there was a little girl standing next to the girl that we had a jungle gym. All of a sudden, she falls off the jungle gym. She says, "Oh, it hurts here." So I said to her, she didn't cry or anything. I said to her, she says, I'm going to go in and put wet towel. She went in the bed because the playground was right near the classroom. So she's putting it there. I says, I think you better go to the nurse. I think she needed stitches or something. It didn't even bother her. Well, this kid is screaming all the time, running around. Oh, I had a terrible time with him. I really didn't want to go on the playground.
That was your first year teaching as well, you said, right?
First year teaching.
Wow. Did it get easier after that, or?
Yeah, because I had a lot of kids, but I didn't have that. I just said that the parents were very nice. With the PTA meetings and very sociable. Not like today. I mean, now it's
Because you said that a lot of the mothers, they didn't work, so they were
very
completely
nice.
focused
Yeah.
on.
And one woman, she had, I think, 5 daughters or 4 daughters, and she used to have the little girl came with the little banana curls. Nurse came and somebody had nits in their hair.
You mean like lice?
Lice, I'm sorry, yeah. So we had to send out the notices, and I said to the mother, says, oh, the banana curl, she would take so much time to put the, so they had to do something, I guess, to wash their hair. But some kid just, some came from terrible families, very poor families, and some were. Then we didn't have that many Spanish. We had a lot of Italians and Slovak in Haverstraw. In fact, Tina married, her husband was Slovak, this family. They were all Slovak.
What, tell me some of your other funny stories from your teaching days. You always used to have so many, but or I guess even from more recently. Do you have any other stories from kids?
Well, let's see. Oh, it was just one little girl. She came. She was in my class for a week. Then she didn't come back anymore. So I said, "What's the Spanish girl? I forgot her last name." I looked over the petition. She's sitting on the other side of the classroom. The other teacher has her. So I said to this Carolyn, I says, she's supposed to be on my side. She says, well, she's on my side. Evidently, the mother uses her maiden name, and the father uses his regular name. And so one was A, because I had A to M, and she had the rest of the alphabet. So they put her there. So then finally I got her back. She's a very sweet looker. I had a lot of nice kids, really nice kids.
Did you ever run into former students?
Yes, I had a boy named Paul Egger. He was so bright. His mother was very good. She was always around. I think she did lunch duties for the other teachers. I don't know. And very bright boy. Smart. You know he was going to be something.
And you ran into him when he was older?
Yeah. And then this girl, Marianne Barbera, I think she became a teacher. She lived in the town of Haverstraw. But it was very nice teaching there. The people were very nice to me. I lived next to St. Mary's Church, and near the rectory. Every morning that bell, I rented a room, just like what Nicolette's doing, and I had kitchen privileges. And this other girl came from Pennsylvania, Marge. She was teaching high school in social studies in 7th and 8th grade. She wasn't high school. She was middle school. And so she came from Pennsylvania. She rented a room. And I had to have my wisdom teeth taken out. So I went to the doctor in Howell Falls. He couldn't get out. He had his knee practically on he was pushing me, so he finally got it out. He says, I want you to do this and do that. So I was fine. I went back to work, went back to Howell, to Haverstraw. That night, it was bleeding all over. So I had to call that school that I couldn't come in. I had to go back up there. I said, what? He says, well, you're a bleeder. I said, well, you should have given me something. It was a horrible experience. And now I think that Laura and Lisa and Marianne, they had 4 taken out the whole time and no problems. I don't know.
What about, one of the things we didn't talk about yet was when you went to NYU. Because you went there, when did you when did you go to NYU?
Second year teaching, I went to NYU. This other teacher was a second grade teacher. She says, you want to go to the get your master's? So we was talking about it. So we went down to NYU. We got all the particulars. So then we were looking at apartments in the summertime. So this one apartment, the whole refrigerator was rusted on the outside. I was afraid to open the door. And it had one of those divans, and it was like this. And then we went to a couple apartments. I said to her, I don't know, this is ridiculous. This is for the summer. Her and I took a course. She went to Hunter College, and I went to NYU. That's why she's changed. She says, I got better courses, what she needed, whatever. But we lived together. Then we went to it's a cool all women's hotel, and they had an apartment on the top floor, so they rented it to us. She was a great cook. She was Jewish. She made the most delicious borscht. And she got home earlier than she used to make the chicken. So she says, we go to Christie's. It's very expensive. It is. She says, why don't you go down to the A&P on 3rd Avenue? So I said, all right. So I went down there, and I got all the groceries. And I'm ready to check out. And all of a sudden I heard this horrible noise. Somebody outside, they put the Coke bottles outside, then those bottles. And a disgruntled employee was breaking the bottles on the sidewalk. I says, oh my God, I don't know if this is worth it or not. I got out and I took a taxi home. I said, I'm not going to get out of here. Because finally they must have done something. I don't know what happened. But it was cheaper. But in the long run, I wasn't going to take that. I couldn't believe it. It was great. It was scary.
Back then.
I used to take stuff and it didn't bother us. I mean, then it wasn't that bad. We used to go to see a movie like a Thursday night and then walk home, right in the city.
Were you there just for the summer?
Just for the summer.
Just for the summer.
And then during the winter.
And you lived, do you remember where it was? 3rd Avenue, you said, and?
3rd Avenue, it's.
Around the NYU campus? Or?
No, it was far down. It was not that such a terrific area, but I remember, it wasn't 7th Avenue. I don't remember now.
Okay.
But all I know is we went during the winter, during the school year, we both went down twice a week. She drove down. We parked the car. And I graduated from NYU. Whatever, I got my degree, whatever. A master's degree. Finally.
After a year.
I was going out with your grandfather, and he used to come down to visit. During the summer, he used to come down and visit. Take me out, whatever. But it was an experience, but it was very nice down there at that time. I don't know. Now I wouldn't even.
What did you
go on a subway? I don't think.
Yeah. Oh. What did you make of your New York experience? Like, what do you remember the most? Like, what was your daily life like? You said you would go out. Like, what would you do?
Yeah, any free time we used to go to the movies, or we used to go see the museums, because it's a beautiful area. I mean, beautiful place, really. As I said, she was a good cook. Her parents owned a big department store in Binghamton.
Mm.
They had money. And I said to her, you're going to live? And she says, no, I'm going to live. She ended up living on the island. And she married on the island. I think she divorced her. Because I got in touch with her a couple of times. I used to call her. Her name was Cynthia. And now we lost touch. But I mean, she came up here a couple of times to see me here. And then we had a great time. She was a character. She was going out with this guy, and then she didn't like him. But I said she was a good. She says, you don't mind if I cook? I said, no. Because some of my classes were late in the summertime. I had to go back, whatever. But in the wintertime, it was, I think, from 6 o'clock or something to 10 o'clock at night.
And so you would go from here to there?
From school, we'd get in the car and we'd go down to the NYU. She went to Hunter College, yeah.
And then come back at night?
Yeah, come back.
Wow.
And I lived in Hampshire. I lived in the
Was that tough to do all that at once, like teaching
It
and?
was tough, but I wanted to get it done. I lived in an apartment over an Army Navy store in Haverstraw, and I didn't realize these people were that kosher. Because I offered her one time, I was making coffee, and I said, "You like?" She was coming up the steps. Her husband owned a pharmacy in Haverstraw, and she says, "No, I can't." I didn't realize that see. Growing up, we had only a couple of Jewish people in Haverstown Falls, and they never mentioned they had to change all the dishes and do all that. I mean, but she was very nice. They were very nice people.
I'm just gonna pause the video for a second, and then we're gonna talk about how you met Pop Pop.